Welcome back, Bannock folks. You're tuned in to another interview here on the YouTube channel. We are here with Neon Cowboy. You guys want to introduce yourselves?
Hey, how you doing? I'm Marcel. I play rhythm guitar in Neon Cowboy.
I'm Casey. I sing and play guitar in Neon Cowboy.
I'm Trevor. I play bass in Neon Cowboy.
And I'm Scotty. I'm drums.
Right on, right on. So when we first left off, or when we left off with Casey, you were just doing this as like a solo venture.
Yeah, it did kind of start out that way. It was I had played music for a number of years, like way back when, and then I stepped away from it for a while, and then as I was kind of getting my feet back into the water, I was just kind of primarily writing like some folk songs and playing by myself, and then we filled that in with the band, and then it became apparent somewhere along the way that we were probably better suited to be a rock band. You know, the strengths of the players that we assembled, and it started to become very, very clear that we had the wrong idea the first try. So we kind of went back to square one and started to tear everything down and build it all over again. And that's when we kind of had a little bit of a shift with the name. Now we're just going by the name Neon Cowboy for the entire band, and it's a 5-piece. One of our members, Andrew's not here right now, but it's 3 guitars, a bass, and drums, and 2 vocalists, and we are not afraid to lean into the kind of crunchy riffs that we originally didn't expect to include.
Yeah, we reviewed and we actually reacted to. I don't think it's out yet, but we reacted to Shoplifter, the music video, and we loved the tune. It's very like. Tyler described it perfectly. It's very much like a Neon Cowboy, it was sonically described like that.
Nice.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Hey,
I
yeah.
guess we need to ask right off the bat, because I had a theory during that reaction. When I hear Neon Cowboy, I think of like one of those like Las Vegas signs of like the cowboy. You know what I mean? He's like, "Hey, Dex, like come gamble here" or whatever. Is that the vibe that you were going for with that name?
Yeah, I think ultimately we have had this, like, you know, a few times this misunderstanding. People think that maybe it's going to be a country band. And we've made a conscious effort to make sure, like, when we put the name in writing, that the fonts we use are going to be a certain way, and to steer people away from that. I think
Right. That's
the
smart, actually.
idea of the cowboy is kind of like, yeah, like the outlaw or the nightlife, you know, idea. The concept of the Neon Cowboy is kind of like an alter ego to us, that he's the creature that comes out when we hit the stage.
Okay.
Casey, I wanted to ask you, so with your musical career, let's call it, you used to play in other bands before, and then you went in through like a solo venture with like the Buffalo Sinners, and I think you had another project there. And for the last couple of years, it's always just been like, you know, Casey Baker and so. And now that you've got Neon Cowboy together, this is like another collaborative effort. So what is it like being with another musician in the room and actually bouncing ideas off them rather than just kind of being like the driving force behind the music?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit different in that at this stage in the game, I'm generally bringing kind of like the skeleton of the song to the room. But I'm surrounded with this unbelievable group of talented musicians who sometimes have ideas that are better or outside the box that I was originally working inside of. So, I bring the idea, and then we kind of assemble that together. And we design the arrangements one by one, and I'm thriving with it. To be honest, you know, it's I couldn't say that if it was a different assembly of guys, maybe it would be different. But I'm really fortunate to have Andrew and Scott and Trev and Mars forming this team, because they're all very strong players, and we don't have to spend a lot of time sorting it out. You know, it's kind of generally the idea shows up, and we can all collaborate on it and find our own little voice. But ultimately, everybody in the group understands that we are in service of the song. So you know, when you're 18 or 20, maybe everybody wants to have their little solo moment to show off their chops, but we're at an age now where it's more like we're more in pursuit of the holistic composition of the song, you know. So everybody's really understands their separate role, and that we are all kind of working together to achieve strength in music.
And sorry, when did you begin like calling the band like Neon Cowboy as like departing from calling it Casey Baker and
I think
Neon Cowboy?
it was
About a year ago, maybe.
Yeah.
Shortly after I joined, maybe.
I think
It was that show, I think.
It was
like
Snow
the
Globe,
breaking
Snow Globe of last year. Snow
Yeah,
Globe of
yeah.
February 2023 was the first time we kind of listed our name as Neon Cowboy, and that's it on a billet for a show.
Nice.
The reason being was that at that point we kind of made the transition from an acoustic-based, you know, folk project into you know, a riffy rock band. And I don't think there's any doubt amongst the crew that we made the right choice, and we intend to keep going in that direction.
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that Scotty has been on the show as well in a different project.
Yeah,
So
it's been a little while, yeah.
so last time we saw you, I think you were playing with Addercliff.
Yeah, we were doing some Atticliff stuff. Yeah, and also with the thumbs and stuff like that.
That's right, the thumbs. And was Addercliff was always under like the what was it called, the sound or particle sound that Mike kind of had. So like, were you just kind of adjacent and like involved with like Neon Cowboy by proxy, just because like you were around these musicians?
I guess if you could call, yeah, lucky enough to be in that web of people. Yeah, I was like, yeah, just everything was kind of connected, and we've always kind of been doing that. So yeah.
Just in case you weren't aware, Phil, Mars is Addercliff.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
As well.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like
So-
that's bam. you
Yeah.
know?
So
Bam.
I think if you were looking at maybe 12 months or further ago, there was kind of the Casey Baker Neon Cowboy folk project happening, and
Yep. And Attercliff.
and then parallel to that was Addercliff, which was another songwriter friend that was doing something comparable and similar, but not identical. And then when the transition of Neon Cowboy kind of started to really find its legs, we asked Marcel or Addercliff to join the band and to be like the secondary singer and play guitar as well. So at that point, all of these musical identities kind of converged to a supergroup.
That's awesome. Is Mike also doing? I know last time we talked with him, he was like more producing music. Just Mike De Silva. Is he at all like making music?
Yeah, Mike has a few of his own projects as well, but he definitely was a full part of the production of our EP that is soon to come out, and yeah, we work really closely with him, and also too when Casey had kind of started the project and was doing it more in a solo frame. He was working with Mike really closely on all of those recordings that were coming out early on. So he's almost been almost a sixth member, and like is very much a big part of the team.
I'm a huge fan of having like a member of the team like not be like necessarily on stage, whether it's like someone who's got like a graphic vision behind it. Like in Hellbent, we got Dylan Zdroboff, who's just done like all our art. So like we always consider him as like the extra member of Hellbent, but like he doesn't play an instrument at all. But like we wouldn't certainly have that imagery without him. So like I always love that having that extra person, whether it's a producer or a graphic designer, a part of that team, just because it just really kind of just breathes air into the project, and it helps from a different perspective, kind of like someone on the outside looking in, always helping.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, that's really well put.
100%.
Yeah.
We've got a couple people that have been pretty offered a lot of commitment to us along the way. Mike De Silva being a leader of them. When we did the EP, we did 3 songs last April with Julius Buddy at Arc Studio in Hamilton, and we were fortunate enough that Mike and Julius knew each other from the Sleeper Set Sail days way back when. So Julius was willing to let Mike come into ARC and take the lead role of vocal production when we did the 3 songs there last spring. So De Silva has remained on board as a major part of the assembly of things. I should also, with honorable mention, bring up Shane Turner, who does most of our
Shane, we love Shane.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Shane's the best.
so we've got an art package designed for the 3 songs that we did. We haven't looked into doing physical copies yet, but each single that's released has its own artwork design that are all kind of intertwined. And
Nice.
at this point, I think Shane blew us so far out of the water with that one that he's definitely been a huge support, and he's definitely on deck, I think, for the future visual arts to come.
For sure.
Yeah, I love Shane. He's definitely helped out Sinner in the past with some graphic work. I think he designed all of Hellbent's webpage, so we love Shane, and he would probably appreciate the Bills right now, especially because they're winning. I don't know if you're watching. I got the game on in the corner here, but they're winning, so that's what we like to see. Now, I wanted to get into Shoplifter, more specifically the music video itself. Now, it features a character who is, let's just say, less enjoyable, less likable throughout the video. He's doing things where necessarily isn't, you're along for the ride, so obviously it's all in fun and tongue-in-cheek. But he's not doing good things. But eventually he finds himself at a Neon Cowboy concert, and things seem to be okay at the end. Now, was there a narrative involved with that, or was it just something that you guys kind of managed to throw together? Because I know that you guys wanted to put together, you did a call to action and had people come out to the show. We're going to do a music video, and Tyler and I were totally supposed to show up, but you know how lives can be sometimes. But we wanted to ask, is that narrative, was that a through line through the beginning, or was that something that kind of came together as you guys put the music video together?
So I think we definitely kind of wrote a treatment for the video prior to starting any of it. And we had the treatment in hand when we approached Zach Esau, who's the videographer for the project. Mm-hmm. I think it's important for a video. I mean, you could do a live video where it's just kind of awesome footage of a band rocking out. But the song Shoplifter is a little bit of a character study. And I don't know if you guys, being from Niagara, you notice how many people are standing at traffic lights, begging for change these days in this city.
A lot more, man.
And it wasn't like that, 5, 6, 7 years ago. It's like this major surplus of that kind of squeegee kid type person, kind of all over the place. And I think that type of person, it can often be misunderstood. And the song is kind of discussing that very type of person and their pursuit of regaining integrity.
Okay.
That's what the song is about. That's the lyrics. I take what I want when I want it. Take back what belongs to me. It's about regaining your rightful place, however that looks for you, and not remaining defeated by society or life. So the idea of the character was to portray that. We wanted him to be distasteful. It was by design that he was an undesirable person, an undesirable character. But the redemption comes at the end when he finally finds a home. And that was all on purpose. And I'm glad you guys picked up on the storyline.
Yeah.
It was our first video. We designed that idea ourselves. And I'm very, very pleased to hear that the communication translated to you guys.
Yeah. We're big fans of ambiguous storytelling, when it's not exactly obvious what you're trying to say, but you're showing enough imagery that you can start to work out I think that's a lot better than very directly stating what you're trying to state. So
For sure,
I really like the video, and Steve killed that video too. It looks great.
Yeah, he's been a long time for. Actually, speaking of our entourage or Camp Neon Cowboy, we talked about Shane and Mike. Steve is an auxiliary band member as well. He's a close friend of all of ours. We actually flew him here from BC in order to film the role because
that's star power.
I knew that there was no other person who could live it like he could. We joke all the time with Steve about how he puts on it's the Steve Show.
Yeah.
And we just figured after 20 years it was time we actually got some of it on camera. So he absolutely just like took off with it. He had a lot of good creative input onto the character himself, and the dancing sequences outside Delta Bingo with the drone.
That was all him.
That was something that we didn't choreograph. That was his own that part of the video where he after he gets punched in the face from like a motorist. The idea was that he kind of disassociates from reality a little bit, right? So then it switches to these scenes of him just dancing by himself in an abandoned parking lot, and
Right.
Steve really, really embodied it, and that kind of like mental instability that we wanted the character to have. I watched the video now, and I'm just like, wow, we really hit a home run with that. Everything fell into place. It was great. Super proud of Steve.
This is kind of just some shitty info, but for whatever reason, growing up, I remember seeing Steve at local shows, and I definitely remember going to see Sleeper Set Sail. And for whatever reason, I created the narrative that Steve was your brother, Casey. I have no idea where I created that from. I just maybe because I was like they kind of look the same. Like I don't know where I got that from, but I obviously Steve worked beside the rock universe for years, so I obviously got to know Steve. So I know that's not the case, but for whatever reason, I thought that, and I can't. He did a really good job as that character, and I'm so glad that he killed it. Yeah.
Whenever Steve and I have had this thing for like probably 15 or at least 15 years, where if I'm stuck in a conversation I don't want to be in, I just introduce myself as Steve Shapox. He does the same thing, so. You're not entirely wrong for like getting confused about certain identity things. Whenever I fuck up, I tell people my name's Steve Shapox.
I wonder because of the lack of visibility, because of like the pantyhose too. If anyone totally just removed from the local scene sees your video and just thinks that's you. You're the like lead singer in the band. It would be a totally logical move that it would be you in the mask. That's interesting.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah.
I wouldn't have been able to walk around with that vest and no shirt on all day.
No. Shout out him.
You get arrested for
That's
sure.
a confident boy.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any plans for doing like another music video single like that, or are we like, what's the next plans? Are you guys going to be touring outside of St. Catharines? What's in store?
Actually, we're planning on releasing the next one, and we're hoping to film that one just outside of London. It's an old bowling alley. It's like untouched from like the 60s. It's got seafoam green seats, the fiberglass seats and everything. So brushed aluminum tables. So we're hoping to kind of do a nice little video there, right? Yeah, that'll be sooner than later, hopefully.
So does that mean you guys have like a whole set of songs, like an EP in the pocket? Like I remember asking Casey last time that like the EP route isn't necessarily the same, like the thing to go about these days, and like singles seems to be like the best way to get your music out there. Is like I imagine that's still going to be the plan for the band.
Yeah, we've got 2 more in the pocket, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Shoplifter was the first of 3 that we recorded in last spring. We do have tentative studio dates booked for January, where we hope to do another 3 or 4. I think we are going to have them. The songs will trickle out one at a time. Hopefully, all of them with music videos, but and they will assemble. Like they'll form into an EP online by the time they're all of them are released. But at this point, after seeing like the surge of interest we got when we released the video for Shoplifter, we're kind of pretty sold on the idea that really strengthens the release to have something that type of visual content to accompany the music. So
for sure,
if we can't, if we released all 3 songs at once, and we'd have one video, and then it's like the other 2 are kind of just kicking around. We want to give each song its own kind of moment in the sun. So as far as it stands now, we hope not to drag it out. I think it's a little dramatic when to leave one single out for 90 days or more and without any follow up. That's not our intention. We don't intend to drag it out long like that. It's just a matter of getting the logistics together, getting the budget together, to get a video done. And so We hope to have the next one out sometime in January, but those are just kind of tentative dates at this time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, your goal too, and especially with what you're saying with having a video, is that like when someone's listening to your song for the first time, you need to throw everything at them that's possible to get them to remember that they've heard your song, so they want to go back. And a visual can sometimes be more important to remembering that song than just, the chorus. And it also helps contextualize a song. Seeing you singing the chorus helps me learn the chorus. So yeah,
Yes.
make videos. And your guys' videos, that for a first video, it's a beautifully shot video. I mean, we already went over it, but yeah, so.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That means a lot.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Zach, I guess Marcel and myself and Zach kind of co-directed it together. Zach Esau is the videographer. We also had what was the drones guy?
Robert Mazanov.
Robert Masonov
Yeah,
was
he's
the drone footage guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, an
he did a great
advanced
job.
drone pilot.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the description, yeah.
And
That's a good descriptor.
and then the editor is a guy named Rick Fast.
Yeah.
Those guys, I mean, obviously we couldn't have done it without them.
Oh, they were great. Yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned that you guys hoped to have turned out to be a part of the crowd for the video, because that day, like we kind of did a little bit of an online blitz trying to like rally up whatever local people we could. The idea was that there would be this big crowd watching us perform in the skate park, and I think it was like a Tuesday night in July. And we only ended up with like, I don't
20,
know,
25,
maybe 20 people.
Yeah.
And
we
we were
barely promoted it.
we were like
Yeah.
we were super worried that if we didn't film it correctly, it was going to look like we had no fans. so we had to be strategic with the way that was done. We could have definitely used you guys showing up, but
Yeah. It's funny that, like, a Neon Cowboy concert is more like a rehearsal.
Yeah.
People around the skate park
Yeah.
are just hanging
You just
out.
got to shoot it like it's the movie 300, where you just take 15 dudes and make it look like there's 300.
yeah,
That's right, yeah.
exactly.
Sure. Luckily, the space was pretty not a great big space,
Yeah.
so it filled up okay.
I think it worked
Yeah.
out. But
Yeah, I
They
think,
look good. It looked full to me from when I
Thanks,
watched
yeah.
it.
Perfect.
It looked proper. It didn't look barren to me, so.
We had to keep moving the group in front of the camera.
Yeah.
So
Camera trickery. Yeah.
Now, obviously, we got to mention your appearance on our Halloween special. Thank you so much for doing that. We had so much fun doing that. And I think Tyler, more than ever, wants to clear the air that there is no bad blood. It was just a written skit that he had. And
I guess for the audience, too. I mean, so Casey and Scotty just showed up, and we just explained to them on the spot that, hey, I'm just going to scream at you and throw a toaster at you. And we didn't have time to explain the joke. We just had the guys from Chubb in. We're both meeting them for the first time, too. Like, it was... Man, bless you guys for showing up and letting me do that. I just
worries,
remember
yeah.
thinking after you left, I'm like, I hope he doesn't like get the weirdest opinion of me after this. He's like, what is my role in this? Why did I dress up and show up here for you to do this?
yeah. I was a little concerned about the believability of your bald cap.
I think it looked, what do you mean?
other
I
than
really
that,
shaved my head. I'm sick of talking about this. I looked exactly like Kevin O'Leary.
and Scotty, I edited this thing several times. What did you dress up as?
I don't know. What did I do?
You had like no you were like your face was gone. You were like, it was as if
Oh
you were,
yeah,
like-
yeah. It was like an old mask. It was like a blackout mask. I just it covered my face.
Oh,
and,
that
put a
makes
onesie
sense.
on or something.
Yeah, I thought it was like
you-
some sort of really like
Skeleton
bad
onesie.
Power Ranger.
Skeleton bone one.
Yeah, I had a skeleton onesie, and
That's right.
Right.
That's right. I couldn't remember that.
So I don't know what an actual term is for that. Some kind of skeletal demon thing.
Yeah, it works. That works.
And you know what?
Faces, Steven.
Thank you guys for actually showing up for us, because we had some cancellations that night on us as well. So you became part of a very select list of guests on the Chubb Halloween special. So thank you again.
Well, you know what?
There you
Niagara has proven to me time and time again that for those of us in the indie music scene, there's an unlimited amount of support for each other, and I think it's great too. Like, I mean, from a genre perspective, I know that you guys lean towards some like the hardcore and metal scene type stuff, whereas we're on the fringe outside of that realm. But you guys have always been kind enough to invite us on the show and to the Halloween thing, and always support us the best you could, and mention us when you can. So the feeling was mutual. It was no problem for us to show up.
If you need me at a bowling alley in January, I'm there.
Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah.
There you
I'll
go.
do it. I can make that one.
As long as you have that bald cap on.
I think I threw that out. We should have kept it and sent it to our 500th subscriber. They get the bald cap. I'm gonna fish it out of the garbage. This is an announcement for the show. If you are the 500th subscriber to our channel, I'll send you my bald cap.
Nice.
Perfect.
Beautiful.
Big news.
When we spoke last time, you guys were doing like a summer kind of like was it like a festival or was it like a show? You guys were putting down like a downtown core oriented music kind of like get together, for lack of a better word.
So the downtown block party was an idea that started 3 years ago. When the particle sound was first kind of launching, I had been in touch with a couple of the ladies who run the downtown St. Catharines Downtown Association. They were looking for some ideas to try to like revive commerce and events in the downtown core as we were coming out of COVID. They asked me if I could help kind of brainstorm some stuff. So the first year we were able to rent the stage, the trailer stage from the NAC. We threw it on the road outside of Merchant Ale House and just kind of had like a impromptu concert. It was headlined by Gin. It was cool. It was just kind of like a little street party. And then we ended up with something like over 600 attendees that year when we just kind of whipped it together in a couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. And then by the following year, the idea had kind of grown legs and expanded to 3 stages. And we've done 2 years at that model now as well. So the downtown block party is just kind of, it was something that I tried to help cultivate because we don't have something like Scene anymore.
Right.
Now, given that it's in partnership with the Downtown Association, there's a pretty big focus on like somewhat, family-friendly environment. So, there's some restrictions as to what it's a little bit challenging because they've got a lot of requirements and things that they want to meet. So it's not quite Scene, and that like I can remember seeing Every Time I Die at Market Square, and people body surfing through all of James Street, like that. It's not quite like that, but it was an opportunity to just help shine a light on all the talented indie artists that are circulating Niagara. We need to keep the fire going. Mm-hmm. There was Ron Sexsmith, there was Neil Peart, there was Alexis on Fire. There's been lots of good stuff to come out of this area, and in the years since Alexis kind of migrated out of Niagara, there was a kind of a real dip in things. There was no more Scene Festival. Things kind of got quiet there for a while, and I think we just want to do everything in our part to make noise again and make sure that the radio stations and music industry executives and the world at large understands that Niagara's not done. There will be more to come.
No, if we've learned anything from doing this show, it's that there is a huge amount of music going on here. The revival of this scene has been like really tremendous to watch. Like all genres. Like there's like 100 shoegaze bands, 100 punk bands, 100 hardcore bands. There's so many metal bands. They're we've got like country artists now, like Sleepy Jean and like stuff like that. Like it's wild what's happening just in this specific area. Not even Ontario. Like just Niagara up. Like from here to like Toronto. It's wild.
It's wild to see like how much talent there is here right now, and how much the odds of like how many of them are getting really, really close to making something happen here. Like I think about Gin. I think about obviously My Son the Hurricanes, well on their way. Artists like the James Blonde are like really fucking making a good push for it.
Yeah, they're great.
It's just we need to just shout as loud as we can and promote as much as we can and make sure people are aware that Niagara is got it. It never stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's definitely been kind of nice, especially like Case and I having been playing in Niagara and throughout the country for 20 years and kind of seeing the whole range of from the early 2000s to now, and how it's kind of been up and down in terms of how popular and how many bands are active, but it's kind of nice to see it return to something like those days where there was so much activity and so much going on, whether it was like a show every night or the different amount of genres and people involved in the music scene. It's very nice to see.
Mm-hmm. See, I do hear a lot of people say that, like within the last couple of years, they find that like the scene has gone up or down. And I think that does really depend on like a perspective. I think there always has been an active music scene, especially in Niagara. I think it's gone through a lot of changes. You're not seeing like 5-6 band bills for $10 at the L3 anymore. Those days are certainly gone. But I mean, like, you talk to people who were into the scene like even 10 years ago, and like some of their favorite bands were like Through These Words and like Between Breathing and it was Bitter Kids. So I always think that there is an active scene. It's just sometimes it's easy to fall out of, and it's really easy to like not necessarily pay attention because we live in an age where like everything has it's distracting us at all times every time we look at our phone. But like, yeah, to kind of add to that, like I do like to see that like it does seem like it's growing even more and more, especially I think post-COVID has really kind of shooken, let's say, the ant farm a bit, and kind of realized that, like, oh, okay, like stuff like this can go away, and it kind of went away pretty easily. So I think a lot of people who are in that scenes, like say like yourself, Casey, kind of have a new found love to like play music again, because like here we are again doing it all. And yeah, to say that, I think this is kind of like the biggest I've seen one of our scenes grow at. I mean, we've had, what was the big festival that Alexis on Fire? Born and Raised. Like, that was huge for the city, right? Like, it was a shame that it didn't come around in a second time, but that band is awfully busy, and I'm pretty sure they grassrooted it themselves with, like the Dine Alone folks. So, like, yeah, to see that it, like, us bubbling up to this from, like, where it was 20 years ago, certainly changed, but I love to see, like, that change happen.
Absolutely. It's interesting, like, when we were growing up, we had to drive to Barrie to go to Edgefest.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Now you got Born and Raised in Montebello Park and Cicada in Port Dalhousie. Kudos to Eric Dixon for, like, the work he's done to strengthen the scene and elevate the game of, like, right here in our own backyard and running the warehouse and everything like that. It's just, it's crazy how things have modified and grown and changed and morphed over the years. And it's like, you know, to play for several thousand people in your own downtown park is not out of the question. You know, between even you look at the summer lineup through downtown, like you go from like Folk Arts Fest to Rib Fest to Grape and Wine, and when Born and Raised is in the mix, that's just another one. It's like on and on it goes. You know, there's so many big events that are happening here.
Even Warehouse, they like Death from Above just played. We had Biff Naked just play. Like it's like they're booking crazy stuff between like Indoor Shoes. I'm assuming is doing a lot of that. And like Warehouse is all, and Knack too. Shout out the Knack for starting to put shows on, especially for all these like up and coming hardcore bands, because like venues don't want hardcore bands. Like it's such a liability to let people do that shit in your building, and I love them for allowing this. It's so important. It's such an, like, back in the Red Square and Hideaway days, it was like that was such an important haven where all this could develop, and you know, without a home, without a stage. The Red Square took a beating.
Did you ever? I imagine you did. Did you ever get to play the Hideaway, Casey?
Oh yeah. Oh,
they must.
Trev and I, in the early days of Sleeper Set Sail, we played the Hideaway with the Constantines.
That's right.
That's crazy.
We played there a number of times.
I haven't thought about in a long time.
Yeah, it's actually funny now. 20 years later, you look at some of the stuff that we've done, or some of the stages artists that we overlap with. You know, it's weird.
Well, that being said, what are some of the biggest artists you've gotten the chance to share the stage with, and even gotten to even chat with backstage?
Oh, jeez.
There was a time we played a festival in New York called CMJ,
Yep.
and we, for some reason, were on the same billet as a producer named Doc, who did the record Breath from Another with Estero. I don't know if that is something you guys would be familiar with.
Remember that?
It's like a 90s female singer out of Toronto. And so that was a cool night, like just hanging out with a guy. I'd listened to that album like countless times, so it was weird that I knew who he was from Toronto, but we ended up having a beer in New York City and and like, you know, listening, just talking shop and stuff. So that was a cool one.
Yeah, geez, I'm trying to think of a few.
That New York show, that wasn't the one where you had to crawl underground in the sewer, was it?
No, that wasn't the. We played New York a couple times, so that one that was a different night.
Were you playing for the Ninja
we also
Turtles?
did
How does that happen?
Oh, sorry. What's that? Sorry.
Oh, I said, were you playing for the Ninja Turtles? What were you doing in the sewer? I'm unaware of this.
Yeah.
Oh, there was this one nightclub we had to play in New York this one time. Actually, we talked about it the last time I was on the show. I don't know. We got there, we couldn't find the address, and then so we stopped the van and like had to start knocking on doors. And this guy lifted up a grate in the sidewalk, and he's like, "The venue's down there."
Wow.
We had to, like,
Come on.
yeah,
It was
so
bizarre.
we had to carry, like, back then it was like, you know, we all wanted to have like a 412 Marshall, so we had these big stacks. Trev played an 812 Ampeg, fucking
Down a man.
like it was like a refrigerator of a cabinet for his bass, and we had to carry all the gear like down a ladder into like the keg room of this facility, and
That's amazing.
it was fun. It was incredible. But what was the other? I was going to say we played Warped Tour one time.
Yeah, the Warped Tour days were really fun.
That's great.
We didn't get on the whole tour, but we were able to do a few of them, and the response was amazing. And we had people there that were Sleeper fans at the time,
Yeah.
and it was great to also be able to see so many other awesome bands that day. And
Yeah.
I think that would be a highlight for us too in terms of bands with a lot of notoriety.
Yeah, I think the cool thing about Warped Tour is I feel like a lot of people went to that tour back in the day to find new music to listen to, which is a very rare thing these days. Like, it felt like a part of Warped Tour was exposure to other artists. Like, and people just seemed to go in with an open mind to that tour much more than I've encountered in modern day.
Absolutely.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing about Warped Tour is it's unfortunate where it's at these days because obviously it's not a thing. And I think it's because that genre really kind of blew up before, and maybe you can agree, like when that genre was first coming out, post-hardcore, emo, screamo, it just kind of felt like, and I think Tyler and I have said this before, it just kind of felt like we were all figuring it out at the same time. Like nobody knew, there weren't blueprints for these kind of things. Nobody knew that like to go into a breakdown into a two-step, it was just something you did. It was just like how it was, and like Warped Tour really kind of amplified that. Sure, they had like bands like Blink-182, who were a major name at the time, really like ride that like kind of sell the tickets of that tour, but like they really kind of like were a hub for all that stuff. And nowadays, I mean, it's a smart move, and by no means do I blame it. It's kind of just, instead of being a traveling show, they've made it the When We Were Young festival in Las Vegas, which makes most sense, like one massive concert with all these bands. It's a less strenuous on these bands, like doing a whole like countryside tour, but like, yeah, no, it's cool what that tour really brought to that sound and that genre for that underground.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, Trevor, I must have missed. You also played in Sleeper Set Sail?
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing with Casey for quite a while. We were both in Sleeper Set Sail together, and then Casey had, near the end of Sleeper, Casey had started to do some solo things as well, and once Sleeper had broken up, Casey had decided to get a band together, kind of similar to how Neon Cowboy is also started, but we continued to play together, and then throughout Casey Baker and the Buffalo Sinners, I was there as well. So Casey and I have like a long history of music together and friendship, and it's been a great ride.
Trev and I met in 9th grade math class.
That's right.
And he's been the bass player in every band I've ever been in.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Can't ask for a better bassist, right? Like, you literally can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're musical soulmates for sure.
Awesome. Now we could probably jump into a few Bandecdotes. Now we've had Scotty and Casey on the show. Now typically we ask like, what are some of the most fun moments you have from being in a band, and maybe there are some that you have grown since Neon Cowboy has been a band. Do you guys have like any inside jokes or stuff that you would be entertaining to tell? Something that you can like let us in on a bit, peel the onion, if you will.
Oh, jeez, I don't.
I mean,
Maybe you should use the gun.
He's like, that one time we killed a guy. No, we shouldn't talk about that.
Yeah.
That was the look you guys just gave.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah, I'm trying to rack my brain to think about
I don't know. Sometimes we like say it's a certain town. We make up a town.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
that's
we just
right.
kind of mess around, with that.
Yeah.
That's
Like when we're practicing our set, we'll say like, "Hello, New Township of New Old York."
There you go.
playing a dive show somewhere.
Yeah, dive
some,
bar, you know.
Yorkshire, West.
Yes, West. Yeah, West
Minister,
Wilkinshire
yeah.
to New Town.
Have you guys ever played anything stranger than crawling into that manhole?
Oh gosh.
Good question. So
Or as strange, or on the same parallels of strange?
I think with Neon Cowboy, I want to try to keep the answers to Neon Cowboy because
That's fair.
Yeah.
that's what we're here for. But we played this festival last winter called Winter Song. It's in Stouffville, and the whole city collaborates to like make this thing happen for one weekend. There's like 100 bands that play in the little town on a Friday, Saturday, and so the venues there's like they're not all music venues. That it's like we had to play at Chuck's Roadhouse.
Kind of like scene.
And
fest,
it was
yeah.
funny because it's like we're just like a band in the middle of like a restaurant. There was people eating like chicken and ribs, and we were just there playing. So, and we actually ended up doing pretty well that night, and like won a bunch of people over and
Yeah.
performed very strong. But it was just like
More the bikers on the other side
Yeah.
of the bar.
Yeah.
They kind of peeped over.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
yeah. But it was funny because we've collectively decided that regardless of the environment that we're in, it's up to us to like take over. So when we get there, it's not necessarily about being loud. It's just about performing strong and making sure that the mood of the music we're creating is going to take over that entire atmosphere.
Yeah.
And regardless of who else is on the bill, regardless of the size of the stage, regardless of whether or not there's good lighting and a smoke machine, regardless of whether or not there's clattering silverware while we're doing it, it's you just kind of you gotta dig deep and just play hard.
Oh yeah, totally. There's been so many situations where Helbin's been in a weird, because like our bassist Breezy, shout out to Breezy, we love him. But sometimes he'll book us a random gig, and sometimes it is just a stop for us to get money. But it might not necessarily be the best crowd. Like I've played to like a whole. I don't know what it was, but there was like a class that was like a Bob Ross painting like class happening as the show was happening. And like they were literally not paying any they were painting, but they weren't paying any mind to me or us. But the whole idea is to have fun with it. Like there's no way I didn't acknowledge it on stage and being like, what the hell is this? And like obviously having fun with it and playing into that is a special part of that, because there's also been parts where I've played like biker bars, and like I'm to the point where I'm like, I'm scared if I say the wrong thing. So sometimes you kind of just gotta go like, yeah, we're here tonight. Like, so there's kind of two different sides. Like I obviously like to say a lot of silly things with Hellbent on stage, but like if I am in a situation where maybe I'm not in my comfort zone, I know I got some few tricks in my pockets to pull out where like I could still make the show entertaining, but you might not hear me say a lot of dumb things. It might just be very music oriented that time.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, I mean, and also like the "what the fuck is up Denny's" meme at this point is like that's not even like a hardcore or a metal thing anymore. Like very uninterested in heavy music people know about that meme now because it was just a band playing at a Denny's. Like it's funny playing at a Chuck's Roadhouse. That's funny. They have weird gaudy shit all over the place, and there's some dude eating like jalapeno poppers like at the bar. That's funny. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I could smell calamari and spicy mayo the whole time. Yeah.
Now, Marcel or Trevor, because I think I've asked these guys this, what is your go-to gas station stop when you're on the road?
Oh gosh, yeah, you go.
I haven't really been touring much, so we're out there. So that'd be more of like a question for Trevor. Yeah.
Like in terms
Maybe
of what I
not
wanna
even
get,
necessarily a touring, just like even
Yeah.
when you're making like a road trip to like somewhere outside the city.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
You're just at a gas station.
Jeez, I wish I had something fun to.
Marcel's funny because he goes on these like health kicks.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's why I was
that's
like, I don't
true,
really
yeah.
get like junk food
He's
or
getting kale chips.
We were playing in Hamilton last weekend and we stopped and
Just a kind bar.
we stopped at a McDonald's and he just like stayed outside like grumpy staring at us all.
I had a meal prepped, so
Yeah. Oh my
Meal
gosh, yeah.
prepping in a band is a tough thing to do. I salute you for doing that. I would have been in that McDonald's with them.
Oh gosh, yeah. So many tours I survived off ramen noodles and just.
The banana dogs.
I remember.
Banana dogs.
There you
That's
go.
right.
I was
Yeah.
gonna mention
Oh my
that.
gosh. Yeah. I remember actually, in terms for gas stations, sometimes they would have like some hot water, boiling water for coffee, and we would take some and put in like a ramen cup so we could get the noodles cooked, and that would be our dinner on the way to a show.
rough. Yeah.
Sorry, I've been so involved with my journalistic efforts in my interview that I totally. Oh, now I was just going to mention Scott left, but no, he's back just in time for me to mention it. I like that. Now, I don't know if I had this question when I had you guys on the show, so this is kind of for everybody in the room. Do you folks have any like pre-show rituals that you do? Is there any music that you listen to? Any specific warm-ups you do? Do you play any video games? That's something I like to do.
Well, Casey and I have been doing some vocal warm-ups for sure. We've been kind of doing that wherever we can, Yeah, we all kind of huddle around too before the show and just make sure that, it's not about, like we mentioned before, it's not about, appeasing to anybody. It's just like having fun up there and not to take it too seriously while we're up there, right? Just kind of have fun. Yeah. So we're kind of like an all-in kind of thing, and yeah.
Yeah.
We often, I think, typically, whenever we're loading in to a place, there's usually like popular 80's song that we'll sing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not always the same. What's the one like?
A lot of Tears for Fears.
Yeah, we sing. We'll just like as a group. When you get. And like the Seven Dwarves would sing "Hi Ho, Hi Ho."
Yeah.
And we're carrying all the amps and stuff into a venue. We typically will pick like a blockbuster 80's tune.
Yeah.
And just kind of sing together. Was it Scooby Dooby Doop Doop Doop? Ah!
Very good. Who sings that one? I can't.
Yeah, whenever I'm looking for these fucking guys in a show or something like that, I'll just be like, Scooby-Doo-Doo-Doo-Doo.
And then they'll.
That's your Marco Polo.
Yeah.
And then you'll hear,
So you guys are seasoned musicians, and we've never actually asked this question on the before, but I just realized we probably should be. So if you guys could what's something you wish you knew about playing live when you first started that you know now that you wish you could go back and tell your younger self, like, hey, be aware of this?
oh.
Well, for me personally, it's just definitely just be yourself, right? You always kind of try to put a front up sometimes in your younger days. You're trying to just to be yourself up there and have fun, right?
I think
Ignore the nerves, right? Because those are, as soon as you start playing, they dissipate right away.
I think I would tell myself to kind of let go, not maybe care so much about certain things. Sometimes I used to really get on myself or think too much about little details as opposed to kind of just having fun, letting loose, not really, understanding that all the legwork has been done prior to the show, and you don't have to worry about those things that you might have been thinking about during your rehearsals. So I think I tell myself to relax and enjoy the show, I guess. I don't know.
For me, I think it's more of a musical answer in that, especially lately, I'm finding the power of rhythm and what it's doing to audiences. A handful of the new stuff we've been writing together has got like really strong rhythm section stuff, which that's born of the talent that Scott and Trev have, and how closely they work together to assemble their parts. But I'm finding like the riffs themselves and how they penetrate the group, the audience, they don't have to be complex. You know, if there's a bit of a primitive kind of caveman vibe going on, that's just some kind of thumpy thing happening, it can really, really take over a room. And I don't think I paid a lot of attention to that, or enough attention to that, earlier on in my career of songwriting. And I'm watching it happen for us now. And it's something I'm very grateful that we've kind of tapped into.
That's awesome. I love that. And I also wanted to ask, for people like we've established you guys have been around the block for a minute. How is it like making shirts these days? Because everyone knows that playing in a band, whether you're a small one or a big, you're essentially just traveling T-shirt salesman. What's it been like from like the design standpoint, from say like your early bands to now? Like, is that something you super are like looking at, or is that something that kind of comes after the music?
I think that's one of the fun part, right? Like writing the songs and building the idea is fun, but then there's a couple bonus things, and that's like, you know, playing shows or getting a T-shirt designed together, or getting the poster ready for a show. Those are the moments where you get to like pick how you're going to look to people, or how your name is going to look to people. So I think there's quite a bit as we get older. I'm so much more like concerned about it to make sure that, like, from a marketing perspective, that it looks right and that it does the job it's supposed to do. We've only printed one set of T-shirts since Neon Cowboy formed, you know, this year. I'm actually surprised. It's as difficult as ever to sell T-shirts. You know what I mean? When 15 years ago, when you're playing at L3 and there's 500 teenagers there with disposable income, we would sling T-shirts and we couldn't even keep them on the shelf. You know, they sold so easy. And nowadays it's like our demographic has maybe grown up with us a little bit, and they aren't as eager to do that. You know, like people are buying a T-shirt because they want to support us, but it's not like, I don't know. It's a little different. It's part of the puzzle we haven't really cracked yet. I think you gotta have the T-shirts have to be well designed. Like the shirt itself needs to be wearable, and you gotta pick something that people want to have on them. So I don't know. We're still figuring that out. If you guys got any fucking notes, you let us know.
Honestly, you have Shane Turner on your side. So just talk to him. He's a great designer.
You guys, with the designs that we did for this EP, it's all blot diagrams from like clinician, like mental health,
right,
like psychiatry. So each song has a blot diagram associated with it. The one that we chose for Shoplifter. Now, here's what's funny about it is that the blot diagram itself is open for interpretation. There is no right answer, but I think I always thought this one looked like a moth, the one that we used for Shoplifter, which is you know, matches the idea too, because about like the transformation of this character who is like, you know, fighting to regain his integrity. There's a transformation taking place, so that's why we did the moth blot diagram for Shoplifter. But I think what I'd like to do in the near future is probably print the blot diagrams on T-shirts. It's a cool idea because I think it engages the audience, because they see it and then they know that what they see is supposed to mean something. You know, like the reaction to a blot diagram is supposed to be telling of you. It's supposed to say something about you. So what are these images we're going to put on the T-shirt? We don't know the right answer, and whatever you happen to see tells me more about you than the T-shirt does itself. So that might be fun.
That would be cool. Yeah, I just came up with a cool idea, and obviously I'm not telling you how to do it, but if you ever did the collection, if you ever after all the singles had been released, it would be cool to see all those block diagrams transparent on top of each other with maybe a different color to kind of just like give it a different. I don't know. This is just something that I thought of when you were describing how each single had a block diagram. It'd be cool to see all of them together, maybe on top of each other, to create some sort of even cooler image. Maybe it looks like garbage though. What do I know?
Who knows?
Well, we actually thought about that for stickers too. Once everything was out, just have them all kind of lined up in like more of a rectangular format. Right?
Yeah.
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 That's cool. I love that. Right on. Well, that being said, do you guys have any shows coming up anytime soon?
We hope to be back in the studio in January. I believe January 20th, we're going to be playing Winter Song again this year in Stouffville. And then, like mid-February, we're playing the Warehouse in St. Catharines with James Blonde. I can't remember the specific date at the moment, but
I think it's early.
February 3rd. I think it's 3rd.
yeah,
Yes.
I think
February 3rd, maybe?
I think so.
think so.
Yeah, okay. February 3rd with James Blonde at the Warehouse, Neon Cowboy. We will be there.
Hell yeah.
Right on, right on. And of course, don't forget to plug all the stuff. Where can they find you? Just at Neon Cowboy on Instagram and on Spotify?
Yeah, at
Close.
Neon Cowboy Official is the Instagram. What is the Spotify? I don't even know.
I think it's at Neon Cowboy.
At
It's just Neon Cowboy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll throw your link tree in the description and stuff too.
That would be
Anything
great.
else you guys would want to? You guys can like if you guys have anything else going on outside of Neon Cowboy, you can promote that here too.
Oh, great. Thanks.
I think too we've been trying because of the video content or the intention to continue follow up with video. The YouTube channel is going to be probably something that we want to steer people toward.
Yeah, true. Yep.
Awesome. We love YouTube.
Yeah,
And where did Trevor go? We missed Trevor.
yeah.
He
had
just
to
had to
leave.
dip.
Yeah, he's got dinner.
Oh, okay.
He's got dinner plans tonight, so he had to take off.
All right.
That's
Well,
fair.
that being said, we'll sign off with all you folks. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. It's always such a good time to sit down with all you, both Casey, Scotty, and now Marcel and Trevor. I'm so glad we got to do this. Keep your eyes and ears peeled for Neon Cowboy for what they have coming up. They're playing shows in St. Catharines this coming spring and Winter Sun in
Winter Song in Stouffville, Ontario.
Stouffville. That was it. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for that. If they're ever in the area, definitely go check them out. And we'll leave it there.
Cheers.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on, guys.